There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that growth is not a straight line. It is a journey carved through seasons, each one shaping, stretching, and preparing us for the next chapter. Life does not hand us success in one moment. It unfolds it through 4 powerful, unavoidable stages that shape our strength, our purpose, and our destiny. The first stage is the stage of challenge. This is where life tests you, shakes you, sometimes breaks you. These are the moments when doors close, opportunities vanish, and everything you thought was certain suddenly shifts beneath your feet. And yet, this stage is not meant to defeat you. It is meant to introduce you to your own resilience. You discover that even when the world pushes you down, something inside you refuses to stay there. Challenge is not the enemy. It is the invitation to rise higher than you ever imagined. The second stage is the stage of discovery. After every struggle, life creates space. Space for clarity, truth, and awareness. This is where you begin to understand who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. You uncover hidden strengths, forgotten dreams, and untapped potential. In this stage, you start recognizing what matters and what never did. You learn that you are not defined by your past, but shaped by your choices. Discovery whispers to you, there is more in you than you know. The third stage is the stage of growth. This is where you put in the work. Growth is not glamorous. It is early mornings, late nights, failures, retreats, lessons, and humility. It is the determination to move forward, even when progress is slow. Growth teaches you patience. It requires courage to step out of your comfort zone, and discipline to stay consistent. But it is in this stage that your character is built, your skills sharpen, and your dreams begin to take form. Growth is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. And then comes the fourth stage, transformation. This is the moment when everything you've endured, learned, and worked for finally comes together. The version of you that emerges is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. Transformation is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming who you were meant to be all along. This stage is the reward for every tear, every trial, every step you took when you could have stopped. It is proof that nothing in your journey was wasted. These 4 stages, challenge, discovery, growth, transformation, shape every success story, every meaningful change, every powerful comeback. You cannot skip them. You cannot rush them. You can only walk through them with faith, courage, and the belief that each stage is preparing you for something greater. Because life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to stay open, to keep learning, to keep rising, to understand that every chapter, even the painful ones, is carrying you forward. When you embrace these stages instead of resisting them, you step into a life that is richer, deeper, and filled with purpose. Your journey is happening for you, not to you. And the person you are becoming through each stage is the greatest success of all. Every stage of life has a purpose, even the painful ones, because every moment you live is shaping you in ways you often cannot see while you are in the middle of it. Pain has a way of making you believe that something has gone wrong. Yet in reality, it is often the very thing that pushes you into the awareness you would have never reached on your own. When life places you in situations that confuse you, stretch you, or break your rhythm, it is not because you are being punished, but because you are being prepared for something bigger than the place you are standing in right now. Every difficulty carries a lesson, every loss carries a shift, and every disappointment carries a direction that leads you to the growth you did not know you needed. Some seasons will feel heavy, and some moments will feel unfair, but each experience arrives with a purpose that reveals itself only after you have walked through it with patience and courage. Many people fight their challenges without realizing that resistance makes the climb harder, while acceptance makes the journey clearer. When you begin to understand that life is not working against you, you will start to see that the painful chapters are the ones that carve your strength, refine your vision, and deepen your understanding of who you are becoming. Growth rarely comes from comfort. Because comfort keeps you still, while difficulty moves you forward, forcing you to break old patterns, create new habits, and rise above the version of yourself that was not meant to stay. Painful moments teach you how to let go, how to trust the process, and how to stand even when everything around you feels unstable. These moments introduce you to your own resilience, the resilience you often forget you have until life requires you to use it. Every setback is a setup for clarity, because it removes what you were holding on to, and makes space for what you truly need. You begin to recognize that the situations that once felt unbearable were the same ones that redirected your path toward something more aligned with your purpose. You also learn that people who leave your life, opportunities that close, and changes that arrive suddenly are not signs of failure, but signs that your journey is shifting towards something you cannot see yet. Life has a way of protecting you by removing what is no longer meant for you, even when your heart does not understand it in that moment. Every stage you go through is carefully building the strength you will rely on in the future, the wisdom you will use to make better choices, and the confidence you will need to take bold steps forward. As time passes, you begin to look back and realize that the experiences that once hurt you the most became the ones that grew you the most. You see how the pieces finally connected, how the lessons made you stronger, and how the challenges shaped your character, your mindset, and your direction. Purpose is not always loud, and growth is not always visible while it is happening. Both are always present in every season of your life. When you accept that even your hardest moments are part of your evolution, you stop asking why this is happening to you, and start asking what this moment is trying to teach you. That shift in perspective becomes the beginning of true strength, deeper gratitude, and unwavering faith in the process of becoming the person you are meant to be. Challenges reveal your resilience and prepare you for the next level, because every struggle you face becomes a mirror that reflects the strength you never realized lived within you. Life does not place obstacles in your path to break you. It places them there to show you the depth of courage you are capable of reaching when you are pushed beyond the limits of your comfort. When everything is going smoothly, you rarely question your strength. You rarely test your boundaries, and you rarely grow. But the moment a challenge appears, you are forced to confront your fears, your doubts, and your hidden potential. Challenges stretch you. They make you uncomfortable, and they push you to build a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what lies ahead. You discover that resilience is not something you learn from books. It is something you develop in the moments when you have no choice but to keep moving even when your heart feels heavy and your mind feels tired. There are times when life will bring you storms, not to destroy your foundation, but to teach you how to plant your feet even deeper into the ground, so that nothing can shake you again. Every difficult experience carries a message, a lesson, or a shift that shapes you for the future you are walking toward, even when you cannot see it clearly in the moment. When you face hardship, you uncover the truths about yourself that comfort could never reveal. You learn how patient you are, how determined you can be, and how powerful your mind becomes when you refuse to give up. Challenges also strip away the illusions that you are too weak or too broken to continue. Instead, they remind you that you are capable of rising again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Every setback becomes a training ground, building emotional muscles you did not know existed until you needed them. Resilience grows each time you choose to try again, each time you stand back up, and each time you remind yourself that the story is not over just because the moment is hard. When you embrace challenges rather than fear them, you begin to see that they are shaping your character in ways that will prepare you for opportunities and responsibilities that require strength, discipline, and clarity. Life is constantly preparing you for stages you have not reached yet, and challenges are the stepping stones that lead you to the next level of your journey. Without them, you would remain stagnant, unsure, and untested, but with them you become sharper, more grounded, and more aware of your own power. You begin to understand that resilience is not about being unbreakable. It is about learning how to rebuild yourself stronger than before. It is the quiet decision to continue when quitting feels easier, the inner voice that whispers keep going, even when no one is watching, and the courage to trust that the hardship you face today is shaping the strength you will need tomorrow. Over time you will look back at the challenges that once overwhelmed you, and you will realize they were not walls blocking your path, but doors redirecting you towards something greater. You will see how every difficulty made you wiser, how every struggle made you braver, and how every painful moment prepared you to handle blessings that once seemed out of reach. Challenges reveal who you truly are and who you can become, and when you learn to embrace them, you step into a version of yourself that is more powerful, more grounded, and more ready for the life you are meant to live. Discovery is the stage where you meet your true self and uncover your potential. Because life often hides your deepest strengths beneath layers of expectations, fears, routines, and beliefs that were never truly yours. When you step into a season of discovery, you begin peeling back those layers one by one, sometimes slowly and sometimes all at once, and as you do, you start to meet the version of yourself that has been waiting to breathe beneath the surface. This stage feels different from challenge or pain, because it brings moments of clarity, moments where something inside you whispers that you were made for more than the life you have been settling for. You begin recognizing thoughts that are not yours, habits that no longer serve you, and paths you followed only because someone else told you it was the right direction. Discovery is the turning point where you stop living on autopilot and start asking the important questions about who you want to be, what you truly value, and what kind of life you are meant to create. It is a gentle awakening, sometimes sparked by a difficult moment, sometimes inspired by a new opportunity, and sometimes triggered by a quiet realization that you can no longer ignore the truth inside you. As you explore this stage, you learn to listen to your intuition, which is the inner guidance that has always known your purpose, even when your mind was crowded with noise. You start seeing your strengths more clearly, not because they suddenly appeared, but because you finally slowed down enough to acknowledge them. You become aware of talents you once dismissed, passions you once buried, and dreams you once neglected out of fear or doubt. Discovery also teaches you the importance of honesty, not just with others but with yourself, because you cannot uncover your potential while clinging to versions of yourself that no longer feel true. You begin to admit what you want, what you no longer want, and what you need to change in order to grow. You learn that self-awareness is not a destination, but a continuous unfolding of truth, and each new layer reveals another part of your strength, your purpose, and your identity. During this stage, you may outgrow certain relationships, routines, or environments, not because they are bad, but because they no longer match the person you are becoming. This can feel lonely at first, but the loneliness is not emptiness. It is space being cleared for alignment. You start understanding that real change begins within you, and the more you discover about yourself, the more confident you become in making choices that reflect your authentic path. Discovery also opens your eyes to possibilities you could not see when you were trapped in old cycles or limited thinking. You realize that the life you desire is not out of reach. It is simply on the other side of awareness and intention. You stop playing small, you stop doubting your worth, and you stop carrying beliefs that were handed to you by people who did not know your full potential. This stage empowers you to redefine your identity based on truth rather than fear, and it guides you to rebuild your life with purpose rather than obligation. As you continue walking through discovery, you learn to trust yourself more deeply, because you finally see who you truly are beneath everything that once held you back. And when you reach that understanding, When you stand in the full awareness of your potential, you realize that discovery is the beginning of transformation. Because once you truly know yourself, you can never go back to living a life that does not honor the person you were always meant to be. Growth demands discipline, patience, and consistency. And it is in this stage of life where you begin to understand that becoming your best self is not a moment of inspiration, but a long series of choices that you must make every single day. Growth is not loud or dramatic. It does not announce itself with sudden miracles. It happens quietly through effort, persistence, and the willingness to keep showing up even when the results are not visible yet. This stage asks more from you than any other, because it requires you to let go of excuses, release old patterns, and step out of the comfort that kept you safe but also kept you small. Growth is uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the sign that you are expanding beyond your old limits. You wake up each day knowing that the person you want to become will only appear if you are willing to do work that most people avoid, work that stretches your mind, challenges your habits, and strengthens your character. You learn that discipline is not about forcing yourself to act. It is about choosing your future self over your temporary feelings, choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort, and choosing to move forward, even when progress feels slow. Patience becomes your foundation, because growth does not unfold on your schedule. It unfolds in its own time, and it teaches you how to trust the process, even when the outcome is not immediate. This stage shows you that consistency is more powerful than bursts of motivations, because the small actions you repeat every day shape your destiny far more than the big actions you take once in a while. You begin to understand that real growth requires sacrifice, not the heartbreaking kind, but the kind where you release distractions, doubts, and behaviors that no longer serve the life you are building. You start realizing that growth is not about perfection. It is about progress, and that every small step forward, no matter how tiny it seems, is pulling you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. During this stage you may face doubt, frustration, or moments where you feel stuck. Yet each of these moments is part of the transformation that is taking place within you. Growth forces you to confront your fears, your weaknesses, and your insecurities, not to destroy you, but to teach you how strong you truly are. You learn to celebrate small victories, acknowledge personal improvements, and appreciate the effort you put into each step of the journey. Growth reshapes your mindset, because you start realizing that failure is not a dead end, but a lesson, that setbacks are not signs to quit, but opportunities to adjust, and that mistakes do not define you unless you choose to stay in them. You grow every time you choose to rise again, every time you recommit to your goals, and every time you remind yourself why you started. This stage also teaches you how to let go of comparing yourself with others, because growth is personal, unique, and sacred to your own path. You begin to trust your pace, your timing, and your unfolding. You discover that the most important changes happen inside you long before anyone can see them on the outside. As you continue through this stage, you begin to feel yourself evolving, not because life suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Growth becomes a lifestyle, a mindset, and a promise you make to yourself that no matter how long it takes, you will not stop becoming better. And when you look back, you will see that every moment of effort, every sacrifice, every lesson, and every small step was shaping you into the person who is finally ready for the life you once dreamed of living. Transformation is the reward for enduring, learning, and rising through every stage, and it is the moment when everything you have walked through finally begins to make sense. This stage is not sudden, and it is not accidental. It is the gradual unveiling of the strength you built through hardship, the wisdom you gained through discovery, and the courage you developed through growth. Transformation is the quiet shift that happens inside you long before the world sees the change on the outside. It is the moment you realize you no longer react the way you used to. You no longer fear what once held you back, and you no longer question your worth the way you once did. You begin to understand that every challenge you survived was shaping your resilience. Every lesson you learned was sharpening your clarity, and every moment of discipline was building a foundation strong enough to carry the life you are stepping into. Transformation feels like breathing with a new sense of freedom, because you are no longer anchored to your past, your doubts, or your old habits. You start making choices with intention rather than fear, and you begin moving through life with a confidence that comes from knowing you endured everything that was meant to break you. Yet here you are standing stronger than ever. This stage is about alignment, because the more you evolve, the more your life begins to match the person you are, the becoming instead of the person you used to be. You start attracting opportunities that resonate with your values, relationships that support your growth, and paths that reflect your true purpose. You find yourself setting boundaries with ease, not out of anger, but out of respect for your own peace. You speak up with clarity, not to prove anything, but because you finally believe in the power of your own voice. Transformation teaches you that shedding old versions of yourself is not a loss. It is a rebirth, and it is the natural part of rising into your next level. You no longer feel the need to shrink to make others comfortable, because you now understand that your light was never meant to be dimmed. You begin to move differently, think differently, and choose differently, because you have grown into someone who knows their own value. Transformation also brings a sense of gratitude that is deeper than anything you have felt before, because you begin to appreciate the moments that once felt unbearable, knowing now that they were shaping the very strength you stand in today. You see how the experiences that once hurt you led you to breakthroughs that would have never happened without the struggle. You recognize that the doors that closed were redirecting you, and the setbacks that frustrated you were teaching you patience, humility, and resilience. This stage teaches you that transformation is not about becoming a new person. It is about becoming the most authentic version of yourself. The version that was always there beneath the fear, the doubt, and the limitations you once carried. You step into this phase with a sense of trust, knowing that you can handle whatever comes next, because you have already survived so much. And as you continue to grow, you will feel a powerful shift where your life begins to mirror the strength, wisdom, and clarity that you worked so hard to build. Transformation is the celebration of your evolution, the proof that nothing you went through was wasted, and the reminder that every chapter of your journey was preparing you for the life you were meant to live. In the end, the journey of life is not defined by a single moment, but by the stages that shape us, stretch us, and transform us into who we were meant to become. Every challenge we face strengthens our resilience. Every discovery deepens our understanding. Every season of growth sharpens our character, and every moment of transformation reveals the power that was always within us. These stages are not obstacles, they are invitations, guiding us toward a life filled with purpose, clarity, and strength. When we embrace the process instead of resisting it, we begin to see that every experience, whether painful or beautiful, is preparing us for something greater. You are not walking through life by accident, you are evolving through intention, courage, and faith. And when you finally look back, you will see that the journey shaped you perfectly, not because it was easy, but because it made you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the person you were always meant to be. Let this truth remind you that your story is still unfolding, your power is still rising, and your best chapters are still ahead.